Joining me now, NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel in Kabul, Afghanistan. Richard, you know this better than anyone. I mean, first of all, when the president says that they're going to have their Air Force do the job, we know that without U.S. contractors, replacements, spare parts, repairs, a lot of that is at stake, and that's for the Air Force. What about the ground forces? The Taliban advancing as we speak.
So some of the units of the Afghan security forces are starting to collapse. And you mentioned a clip from General Miller in which he talked about the rapid loss of district centers. What has happened is a lot of these district centers, which are effectively local government centers, are simply being handed over to the Taliban. The Afghan police or tribal forces, or in some cases, regular Afghan army, are walking away. The Taliban will arrive and they will have a negotiated surrendering their weapons, surrendering their bases, and then the Taliban will, in some cases, give them money, bus fare home, in kind of an act of humiliation. Say, thanks for your weapon, here's a few dollars, actually around $100 per person, now go home and don't come back. That has happened about 50 times in the last 2 months. So there is a real serious concern that the Afghan security forces, without American support, are in a state of collapse. And that's the ground forces, let alone their Air Force or their use of sophisticated weapons. Some of this is a lack of confidence. Some of this is because the Afghan security forces feel a little demoralized. They feel like they are being abandoned, and they are worried what could happen to them in the future. But the signs we are seeing right now are not encouraging that the Afghan government and the Afghan security forces are going to be able to hold on and keep this country at least as stable as it has been as U.S. forces complete their withdrawal, which is now advancing quite quickly.
And one of the issues that you've been highlighting is an estimated 18,000 translators, drivers, and other Afghan personnel whose lives are endangered. They are under death threats. They and their families, as many as 70,000 people that the U.S. has promised that they can safely evacuate. Now, we understand from the State Department yesterday that only 9,000 of those 18,000 have completed the initial steps for visas, and that these visas have not properly been processed. Some of them have been waiting for years. I pressed the State Department spokesman when he said that we have an enduring commitment to maintaining a diplomatic presence there. Let's watch. This is Ned Price.
It is absolutely not the case that we intend to abandon Afghanistan, that we intend to relent in our support for the government of Afghanistan, that we intend to diminish our support and our partnership for the people of Afghanistan.
That's predicated on our ability to maintain a diplomatic presence.
And which we intend to do.
Which depends on the airport and a lot of other things.
And the security at the airport, security at our embassy.
So we're keeping troops there, obviously at the embassy, and at the airport, apparently, some smaller number.
And a lot of the details are not clear. How the airport is going to be secured, there's talk about an involvement with Turkey. Will that be the last stronghold for American forces so that they can keep the door open should they need to come back in or move personnel in covertly or overtly? But a lot of what is happening here is not happening publicly, and I think that is also one of the factors that is creating such concern among the Afghan government, among the Afghan security forces, because they really don't know exactly what is going on. The White House, President Biden today made it very clear he doesn't really want to talk about Afghanistan. He would rather be talking about 4th of July. He said today he would rather be talking about happy things than talking about 4th of July. He didn't want to talk about Afghanistan. And this withdrawal is happening with a great deal of secrecy. Bagram closed today, but it didn't close with a big ceremony. VIPs were not invited to watch it happen. These bases are shutting down one at a time, more or less behind closed doors, and it's leaving a lot of Afghans very, very concerned about their future, including the Afghan security forces.
And especially the women and girls who've been able to be educated over the last 20 years under American leadership and don't, as you pointed out this morning on the Today Show, don't want to return to the Middle Ages.
No, this is 20 years, and you have to think of this as been not just 20 years, but a generation. The average age in Afghanistan, the median age, is 19 and a half. So most people in this country have been born under the American presence here. That includes women, that includes girls, that includes all these young people who have a different kind of expectation. And they don't want to go back to living under medieval Taliban rule by any stretch of the imagination. But they feel powerless right now as this militia group, which has been fighting against the United States for 20 years and has gotten better at fighting by sharpening its knife against American armor for so long, as it is making these rapid advances. So a lot of people are very nervous, and I would put women and girls, but also young men who had different hopes for the future at the top of that list.
Richard Engel, your extraordinary reporting for many, many years there. Thank you very much.